What's up, everyone? The stock market continued its massive uptrend, and some pretty big news happened in the market today that you will definitely want to be aware of. This is an episode you'll want to watch to the end. So we have big data with inflation, Disney, Elon Musk and Tesla stock, and a couple other things. But Tom, tell us, what's going on in the market right now? I woke up this morning and the stock market was up almost 2%.
Yeah, so the biggest thing is that CPI data actually came in better than expected. So it came in at 8.5%, less than the 9.1% expectation on that CPI inflation data. And you can see the market reacted very well to this, especially in pre-market here. What's very interesting, Mike, if we go to a 1-minute chart of the SPY, it pretty much took only 120 seconds for the SPY to have most of its major move today. It ran from 413 all the way up to highs at the high, pretty much in the middle of the day, around 420. So really big moves on the SPY, Mike. Like I said, though, the majority of that move came within a 60-second time frame on the stock. But yeah, that CPI data came in better than expected at 8.5%, which is really good. This means that the Feds, they might be able to slow down their pace that they've been raising rates at. So obviously they keep raising rates at 75 basis points right now. Maybe they can start scaling that back towards 50 basis points or 25 basis points now, which will be good for the economy. So I'm really glad to see this coming down, Mike. Obviously the market likes it, and a lot of stocks are blasting up from this.
Exactly. So if you're a little bit confused by this, the main thing to know is that inflation has been out of control over the past year and especially over the past couple months. Basically, what we saw today is inflation start to decrease a little bit. And that's a great sign because it's giving the market and investors hope that, hey, maybe we already reached peak inflation. And if that's the case, that would be a very, very good sign just for the economy overall. So the main thing you need to know is that inflation is starting to slow down a little bit, which is something we have not seen in quite some time. So that's why the market's popping up.
Yeah, that's really the main reason. And it's not even just the SPY today. We had a lot of growth stocks going up too, like Plug, Asana. I know even like Meta, Mike, had a great day in the middle of the day today. So overall, stocks have really blasted to the upside. We did see some stocks fall off. I know what's pretty crazy, Mike, is that Redbox, RDBX, was down 50%. But keep in mind, guys, this stock has been going all over the place this week. So just be very careful. This one's been volatile, but most stocks did very well today. I'm really glad to see them starting to turn around, Mike, and it's really nice to see. And we have another big piece of news coming out tonight with Disney talking about stocks turning around here. Look at Disney in after hours going from 112.50 all the way up to 119.50 here on their earnings. This is going to look really good on that daily chart tomorrow whenever they open up at 120. That'll be a huge gap to the upside. So hopefully they can hold their ground, Mike, because so far this earnings report has honestly been going very well for them.
Let's go, Tom. That's awesome. Disney has took a beating over the past year like many stocks have, but how are their earnings?
Yeah, it was actually really good. So across the board, they beat on EPS. Their revenue came in higher than expected, which is awesome. But the best thing was those Disney Plus subscription numbers. They came in at 152.1 million versus a 147.76 million expectation according to Street Account. So that's pretty big. They beat on those subscription numbers. I know lately, like Netflix and a few other companies have been having some issues with those subscription numbers. So I'm glad to see that Disney Plus here came in with a nice beat. That's going to be really good for Disney. And overall, Mike, they even had another piece of news come out where they're actually raising prices on their Disney Plus streaming services. So they're going to have some bundles with Hulu and Disney Plus and stuff like that. But it looks like they're even raising the cost of this. So overall, sounds good. They beat on subscriptions and they're raising prices.
There we go. So the biggest thing I took away from this earnings report was that their Disney Plus subscriber growth was pretty good and it beat expectations. But not only that, it's more so the fact that they beat expectations and they're seeing good growth out of Disney Plus in a time where some of their other bigger competitors like Netflix is seriously struggling. So this was really good to see. I like Disney for the long term, even though it's up a little bit, or yeah, it's up a decent amount in after hours, and even though it's up a decent amount over the past couple weeks, it's a pretty solid long term stock for me. But again, it's long term and short term, it is definitely overbought.
Yeah, it really is. We had recent lows down here around $90. Now we're all the way up around 120 here in after hours today. That's a pretty big pop back to the upside. Honestly, Mike, it looks like we're trying to fill this gap, maybe back up to around like that 130 resistance. But yeah, I would definitely be careful. We are definitely overbought here in the shorter term. So be a little careful with it, guys. But it does have some good momentum, and hopefully this can help spill over into some other parts of the market. What I did like to see, Mike, is that I also saw their parks revenue went up 72%, which shows that maybe, some of these like reopening stocks like CCL, AAL, and stocks like that might start to keep doing well also. I know they were doing pretty good today as well, but it just goes to show that more people are getting out, getting back to the parks and traveling more from the pandemic. So it's good to see those park numbers up too.
There we go. And then we have the stock that everyone loves to talk about, and that's Tesla. I saw some pretty big news related to Tesla stock, and Elon was recently released. So what happened?
Yeah, so Tesla's stock was actually dipping last week, and I actually saw some pretty big news where Elon was selling shares in the middle of last week, guys. So this is actually pretty big. He sold 7.92 million Tesla shares worth around $6.88 billion. Now, he was asked today if he was done selling. He did say yes. In the hopefully unlikely event that Twitter forces this deal to close and some equity partners don't come through, it is important to avoid an emergency sale of Tesla stock. So I will say, I have to applaud Elon here for kind of thinking ahead. Obviously, he's done a lot of strategizing with all the Twitter deal news and everything like that coming out. So it's good that he's selling Tesla stock now in case he does have to get forced to throw up some equity for this. But nonetheless, Mike, it's a pretty big piece of news. These sales occur between August 5th and 9th per the SEC filings. And if we look on the chart here, between August 5th and 9th was really whenever Tesla had a lot of selling pressure. But there was even some, upward movement mix in there too, which is interesting. But nonetheless, though, the market did go down for a few days there.
Yeah, so what's interesting is that Elon sold around $7 billion worth of Tesla stock over multiple days. And while that's a ton of money, it's not like a gigantic amount of money relative to Tesla's daily like dollar amount trading volume. Tesla normally has anywhere from like 20 to 30 billion dollars worth of Tesla stock traded on any given day. So when you have $7 billion traded over multiple days, it doesn't have a gigantic influence, but the main thing is that whenever you see someone like Elon selling, it can just cause other people to sell and sometimes trigger some of these algos to start selling Tesla stock. But it seems like the market kind of just lifted Tesla stock higher, and it's just been flat over the past week or so.
Yeah, it really has. It's kind of been staying within a pretty big range here between like 840 and then an upper level here of like 930 to 940. So almost like 100-point range there. But hopefully it can start to form some nice ground or some nice supports here and start to break back to the upside. I will say it did very well today, even with the news of this selling coming in. Like you said, Mike, it probably wasn't enough to really affect anything. And I'm glad that traders didn't take this too negatively. Like Elon said, it was important for them to do this so that it didn't come as a surprise. So yeah, that is pretty big. But I guess the big news today, Mike, was just that CPI data. We do still have some pretty big earnings later in the week, like Rivian tomorrow. It looks like Six Flags tomorrow before open, but really Disney was the last big one for the week. Matterport was also reporting tonight as well. But yeah, for the rest of the week, just some smaller ones here.
Alrighty. Tom, before we move on to the momentum plays, let's take a quick look at the heat map from today. There was a bunch of positive momentum all across the board. Basically, stocks in a lot of industries just exploded up today, and it was pretty good. So, do you have any favorite setups or industries that you're watching for tomorrow?
Yeah, I actually have a few that I'm really keeping my eyes on lately, and these are some of these chip stocks that have been honestly super volatile lately. So I've been really keeping my eye on AMD and Nvidia. Both of these have been honestly moving up and down so much lately that I feel like it's been making some fairly decent intraday opportunities. You can see Nvidia was up 5.9% today. If we continue to see the tech sector ripping to the upside, I would definitely expect Nvidia and AMD to maybe start to pop back up tomorrow. AMD is almost back up to that $100 resistance, which is great for them. But really across the board, looking at that heat map, Mike, almost all the stocks in the tech sector did great. Meta is another one of my favorites this week. They had a really great day today, popping up above 174, which was a very nice resistance in pre-market right before market open. It seems like Meta, Mike, is trying to ascend back up to around that $200 level, and we've been waiting so long for them to move to the upside. They're honestly closer to their lows than a lot of other stocks are, so I'm just kind of like waiting for that big breakout to finally happen here.
Good stuff. I'm really keeping a close eye on the bank stocks, so like JP Morgan, Citigroup, and Bank of America. I feel like they're at some pretty good levels right now, and while they aren't as popular as stocks like Apple or Tesla or Meta, they still do have some decent sized moves, but they normally take just, maybe a couple days longer than average. But either way, I'm definitely watching the bank stocks over the next couple of days and the next couple months. I feel like they're at a pretty good level, and a lot of them pay pretty decent dividends too.
Yeah, they really do. Like JP Morgan, Bank of America, those are some pretty decent stocks. And what I really like, Mike, is that they're at decent levels right now too. Like I know that we've been talking about this forever, but even those stocks are very far off of their highs right now. Like in JP Morgan's case, the high recently over the past year was somewhere around like 172. We're all the way down around 118. That does not sound like a bank stock to me, Mike. That sounds like Meta or some type of stock like that. It just goes to really show how much volatility has been coming into the markets this year with everything going on with inflation and everything like that. Obviously, a lot of volatilities came into the market, pushed a lot of stocks down. But yeah, it was really good to see those banks hold up today. And that is a really good sector, Mike, to look at. So glad you pointed that one out. I'm definitely going to keep that on my radar.
All right, there we go. Well, it is now time for the momentum plays. With the first one, we have Shopify to the upside.
Yeah, Shopify had a really good day today. Go ahead and make them break above $41 even for tomorrow.
All right, and with the next one, we have Square, also to the upside.
Yeah, Square. Wow, Square actually got really flat towards the end of the day. Go ahead and make them break above 89.
All right, and with the last one, we have SWBI, also to the upside.
Yeah, Smith and Wesson, all these stocks were up today, Mike. Go ahead and make them break above 1493.
Sounds good. So we're watching SWBI, Square, and Shopify for potential day trades to the upside tomorrow, only if they break above the levels Tom listed. But Tom, I will say the market has been pretty awesome over the past couple of weeks. While it's great to see this sort of upwards momentum and explosive price action, it is also important to just be a little bit on edge, because when you see the stock market pop up by 15 or 16% from its lows to where we currently are now, that's very rare, and it's very important not to get too sucked into the hype. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, definitely, guys. The market is definitely a little bit overbought in the shorter term. It's been a little bit hard lately to try to like swing some calls through close, Mike. There's been a lot of upwards momentum lately. Obviously you don't want to get in when the market's too high, but we're just now kind of like breaking out above this like 418 resistance that's been pretty big lately on the charts. I know today we kind of double topped up there around 420. Hopefully we can break that and continue up with that nice momentum, but like you said, it's getting really tough here to continue to like swing calls through close and just to continue to make plays of the upside, because as we all know, it's getting a little bit overbought. So yeah, just be careful, guys. But nonetheless, there is a lot of momentum. I will say, Mike, that 420 resistance is looking pretty good on SPY. I'll definitely be watching that tomorrow morning. Hopefully we can break it early on, and then maybe that'll set us up for a nice run. But nonetheless, it's good to see a lot of tech stocks coming up from lows like Meta, Square, stocks like that. So glad to see it. Hopefully we keep pushing up, and it's been a while since we've seen a nice uptrend. So hopefully we can continue on this, Mike. It's definitely needed, but I will say I expect to slow down sometime soon.
All right, there we go. Before we close out, we have to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, and that is Muramadina in the StockedUp Discord chat. Huge shout out to Muramadina. Thank you so much for being an absolutely amazing member of the chat. Thank you so much for all of your activity. and kind words. Tom and I really appreciate you. Last but not least, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. We post brand new videos every single day, and check out that first link in the description and the comments down below to join the Stocked Up Discord chat. It's completely free, and we have a bunch of amazing traders and people in the chat. It's definitely worth joining, and it's free, so why not? Besides that, let's have a great end to the week.